Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports. Previewing the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to start with the Ravens because surprisingly, they finished last in this division last year. They were 8-9. They tied the Browns technically, so I guess just based off of winning, whatever. And so they're looking to rebound this year. And let's start with Ryan. I'm just going to hit you with some of these questions and we'll talk about it. So what, for you as a Ravens fan, what is your biggest question for the Baltimore Ravens this season?
I think it's out of the injured players coming back, especially Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. Last year they had Makari, who's their backup center, playing left tackle for a lot of the year. And then J.K. Dobbins, Marcus Peters. A lot of these are impact guys. So I know Lamar's contract has kind of been the talk of the offseason, but I don't think that's as big as issue just because they have the franchise tag, similar as what Dallas did. So I think it's what will those players bring back to the team? Because if they don't come back 100%, or like in Dobbins' case, like they don't really have a home run hitter at running back if he's out. They just kind of have some guys like they did last year. And then with Stanley, they need a good left tackle to protect Lamar. So, and I like the pickup of Hamilton on defense. We'll get into that later, but I think offense is going to be my question mark for the team. What's it going to look like?
Yeah, no, that's a very good one. How about you, Travis? What is your biggest question for the Baltimore Ravens?
Well, mine was similar, but basically, can they stay healthy? It's not any of their faults really if they get injured, but last year that was their biggest Achilles heel, you could say.
No pun intended.
Yeah, was the fact that they had so many injuries. So, and Ryan, is Gus Edwards still on that team, or is he? Because I looked at the depth chart and I don't see him, but I think he's on the PUP list, right?
Yeah, he's going to miss at least the first 4 games.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's my biggest question for them is just if they stay healthy, then what is going to happen after that?
Yeah, no, that's another good one because I think they were kind of favorites last year, not to win the Super Bowl, but compete in the AFC until all the injuries happened. Like a lot of people were high on them. My big question for them is sort of the same question that I feel like has been surrounding the Ravens for the last couple of years, which is, do they have enough skilled position players to help out Lamar Jackson? I like Dobbins if he comes back 100%, and we know we like Andrews, but it's really on the outside, their wide receivers. A lot of question marks there. I feel like them trading Brown, we'll talk about it in a little bit. It's not the worst move, but it also means that they didn't, I don't feel like, get an adequate replacement. At least he was sort of explosive. So that's sort of my big question. Ryan, you talked about the offense, and that's kind of where I'm at too, is like, can these skilled position players make life easier for Lamar, or is it going to be like him having to do it himself? That's kind of what I'm wondering for them.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into our next topic. Favorite offseason move, Ryan. What is your favorite offseason move that the Ravens made?
I like the combination of getting Marcus Williams at safety and Kyle Hamilton in the draft. They gave up 4,700 yards passing last year, last in the NFL by like 250 yards.
Yeah.
They were playing dudes like off the street, after about halfway through the year. So I think getting those 2 guys with the guys they're getting back, I think their secondary is going to be excellent. The pass rush, I don't know, but we'll see about that. And then Isaiah Likely, the tight end. I know they're lacking in receivers, but he's been doing really well in practice. And then the last preseason game, he had 100 yards. So they kind of view him as a tight end / wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear that, but yeah, that'll be nice if he breaks out because he probably attacks the middle of the field much like Andrews does, and that's where Jackson does his best work. Travis, your favorite offseason move for the Ravens?
Ryan, are you ready for this one? They signed Vince Beagle. You know where his hometown is? Wisconsin Rapids. Right next door. But now he's on IR. So it doesn't even matter.
I was gonna say
Uh,
he's on IR, I thought.
yeah. But Ryan took my two. I really liked Marcus Williams because he was one of the better players on the Saints defense. So they got him. And Hamilton, I don't remember his draft profile, but basically I thought he was like one of the most talented at that position in the entire draft for because he's a safety, right? Yeah. So I really like that pick for them. So those are my two favorite moves that they had this year.
Yeah, I agree. The Kyle Hamilton, a lot of people thought he would go in the top 3 when the draft process started because I remember the Detroit Lions were rumored as to have drafted him. I think the Ravens got him at 14. So that was sort of like, I feel like one of the steals of the draft. So that was a really good pickup. I'm gonna just go and just say another thing that I liked a little bit was they're addressing their offensive line by getting Morgan Moses. They got Juwan James and I think Kevin Zeitler. He wasn't on the team last year, was he?
Yeah, they picked up Zeitler last year.
Okay.
They drafted Linderbaum, the center, in the
That's
first
the
round.
other one.
They
Yep.
traded Marquise. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that they're addressing the offensive line. You mentioned that they lost Stanley last year. If he can come back healthy, I think their offensive line is going to be better than it was last year, which will be a big help again for Lamar Jackson, that he's not going to be running around the entire time trying to make plays and then end up injured. And I know he gained muscle and hopefully that'll help his endurance a little bit. But yeah, it's nice that they addressed the offensive line, at least trying to make it better for him this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's like 230 now or something like that. I don't know if you saw some of those pictures of him in training camp, but he looks like he could be a linebacker or something almost. Like he's pretty beefed up this year.
Yeah, I think he yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see any pictures, but I heard about it, and he's hoping that it helps him withstand more of the hits, right? Like so that he can endure throughout the season a little better.
Yeah, he'd be faster than me at 430 pounds, so I think he can gain a little weight and be fine.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. Okay. Let's go to our next topic. Ryan, what was your least favorite move that the Ravens made?
I still don't like Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator. You
That's
saw
fair.
in the Dolphins game last year when he literally can't respond to all-out blitzes with a normal play call to beat an all-out blitz. He's still there. So I'm waiting to see how that works out. I kind of know like some of the vanilla stuff he's going to run. And then missing out on a veteran receiver. I know they just picked up Demarcus Robinson, but that's not going to move the needle too much. I know they were after Landry for a little bit there and he picked the Saints, but somebody of that type would have been nice to find just like a veteran possession kind of receiver, or even in a trade, getting someone.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll just add on to that because mine was partly trading Brown. I know that like he's not the best wide receiver, but he was very explosive. He added a dimension to the game that I just, that not few players can add with his speed down the field, you know what I'm saying? His explosiveness. And I think just like you're gonna be missing out on that. That was like a big part of the explosiveness of the Ravens. He wasn't a number 1 wide receiver, so it's not like I'm hitting them too hard for that, but then they did not address the wide receiver position enough. I agreed with you as far as the Landry thing. There was also like DJ Charks who signed 1 year, 10 million with the Lions. There was a lot of receivers out there that signed 1 year deals, veteran wide receivers. And I'm just surprised the Ravens couldn't bring one of those guys in. So I kind of knocked them on getting rid of Brown and not addressing the receiver position, I think, a little harder in the offseason. Travis. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, I like Brown too personally. How much does a guy not wanting to be there anymore factor into what he would have been like on the field this year for them? Is if he was going to be gone mentally for the year, would he have checked out with kind of like a minor injury or something if he stayed there? So it's kind of like if he didn't want to be there anymore, I'm glad they got something for him. A center is not like a sexy thing to get for a wide receiver, but they didn't have great offensive line play last year. So we'll see. Maybe Duvernay steps up. I don't really know. I think he was underused by Roman, but I think Roman underuses a lot of people in the offense.
Yeah, that's fair. And sometimes it's hard though, because it's more like with some NFL players, it's like Roquan Smith with the Chicago Bears. He's like, I don't want to be here, trade me. And now they're okay, I guess. And he's going to be staying with the Bears. So I don't know. Like some teams just got to call the players bluff a little bit, but yeah, who knows? So maybe they felt the need to move on. It's just that then after moving on, like I said, they just didn't address the receiver position, which I just didn't think was a smart move on their part, but I guess we'll see how that pays off. Travis, you got a least favorite move for the Ravens?
Yeah, the fact that they just didn't get a big name wide receiver for Lamar. So Bateman's there. Ryan, what's your opinion of Bateman? He only played 12 games last year or something like that.
I really like him. I still don't know if he's like a number one. It could be similar to Brown, like you have a number two, like receiver playing as a one. But I like him as a player. I think he has more upside than Brown. I think Brown could run about a post pattern deep down the field, and that was it. If he caught something underneath, he'd go down to the turf pretty quick. He wasn't good at yak either, so I think Bateman's better. But
yeah,
it's hard to know after last year. He played most of the year with Huntley, like the last 6 games, so I'll get to see like a full year with Jackson, what that looks like.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, not to talk about the Packers, but one of the main complaints about the Packers is that they never gave Rodgers enough help. I mean, he had Adams, but that was basically it for most of the time, is that they didn't have like a really solid number 2 most of the time that would help him out. So it's like Lamar's got to have something, because now, since there's no big wide receiver that the defense has to worry about, they're going to take away their, well, I'm going to swallow this, but good old Mark Andrews dominated last year, even though I didn't think he would. But he's like their best weapon. So if they take him away, then it's like, what is Lamar going to do? So I'm still waiting to see if they're ever going to do anything. I mean, go out and get Des Bryant. At least it's a big name, even though he's super old and can hardly move. But doesn't T.O. want to play again too? Didn't I read that somewhere?
Get anybody but Sammy Watkins. I'm glad they
Yeah,
let
exactly.
I was doing the Packer preview yesterday or the day before, and it said on this article that Sammy Watkins is the Packers' most reliable wide receiver. And I'm like, ouch, like that's a diss to the entire wide receiver core of the Green Bay Packers, because Sammy Watkins is not that reliable of a wide receiver. He had like 400 yards last year. But I'm like Cooper, like Amari Cooper was available, and he was only for a 5th round pick. Now I think there's some issues with whether he really wants to play football or not. That's I think part of the thing. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Travis. There was a lot of wide receiver movement. I'm just surprised. Like, I don't think the Chiefs were ever going to trade the Ravens Tyreek Hill, because they're in the same conference and they're more scared of the Ravens doing something with Tyreek than the Dolphins, which, come on, Tua or Lamar, you're gonna be more scared of Lamar. But I'm just surprised they couldn't try and get a bigger name, or just a veteran wide receiver to help out Jackson.
Yeah, it's kind of magnified more when you look at the division. You're like, wow, the Steelers spend all this on draft picks and receivers. The Bengals have all these receivers. And like you said, even the Browns go and get Cooper. And then you're like, oh, the Ravens are going to go with Duvernay and Prochet at receiver and see how it goes. And I do actually think Prochet is better than Duvernay, in my opinion, just if he gets more chances. But he's just going to be like a possession guy. He's not going to fill what Brown did.
Right.
And so is Bateman. Bateman's not a 4-3 guy down the field. So how are you going to manufacture big plays I guess they think Demarcus Robinson is going to manufacture big plays, or Jackson will scramble around and find somebody. Like, I don't know, but we'll see. I do like Andrews, like Travis said. They said he plays harder in practice than anybody on the team. They said he doesn't even need preseason. He's like ready now. So I think he'll have 100 catches again. But who else do you have,
Deep insider fantasy football advice for Ryan. DeMarcus Robinson, sleeper pick.
I don't know. He had like that moment in time where like the Chiefs were like bragging him up for 3 weeks, and then like he just fell off the face of the earth, kind of. I think if like Patrick Mahomes can't make you a good wide receiver, I don't know if there's any quarterback that can, because
I guess he never missed a game. That's probably why they wanted him. He hasn't missed a game in his career, and they were tired of guys like Watkins,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, let's go to our next topic here. Ryan, what will make the season for the Ravens a success or a failure? What in your mind will do that?
Got to win the division. I think you got to go deep in the playoffs or make the Super Bowl. It's year 5 for Lamar. If you don't make one trip to the Super Bowl with him, at least like, I know his 5th year this year, he's making like 22 million, but that's still cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to make a run deep into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl, when you're still not paying your quarterback top money. Because after this year, if they franchise him, he's going to start getting in the 40s, and then what are you going to do after? You definitely can't get a receiver probably at that point, and you're going to have to keep drafting guys. So they got to make a deep run.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Travis? What do you think is going to make the Ravens season a success?
Yeah, I'm hoping they make some sort of trade for a wide receiver to get him more help. That's what I'm kind of expecting them to do, and hoping, just because I would like to see Lamar have an actual solid number 1 wide receiver, but I couldn't even tell you what the options would be, or if there were ever any talks of them acquiring anything or what, but we'll find out.
DJ Metcalf or Tyler Lockett?
But
Seattle.
Metcalf just signed though, right? He just re-signed with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think they gave him an extension.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was earlier this offseason, there was rumors that they were going to trade him. So, yeah. Deebo Samuel, I think he got an extension as well. I'm just throwing out names out.
Maybe like Calvin Ridley, he's suspended for the year. Maybe him for nothing. He could bet on the Ravens all season and then be on them next year. Who knows?
There you go.
And
DJ...
even Julio Jones, like, was he a free agent, or did he get traded? Okay, but he's at Tampa now. I mean, why didn't the Ravens try and go after that old man? At least he was something,
Yeah, he would have lasted 4 weeks and then been injured with hamstrings.
Yeah,
probably.
Constant hamstring injury for him.
Odell Beckham's still out there, just throwing that as a possibility for the Ravens as well. Who knows? Okay, for me, I'm with Ryan on this. Super Bowl contender. That's what I have. Even if they don't win the division, if they're like in the final 2 rounds of the playoffs, I'm more of like, who do you lose to, not how far do you get. So if like you lose to the Buffalo Bills in the 2nd round and the Bills get to the Super Bowl, it's whatever. Like, that's fine. You'd have to beat the Bills anyway to get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, at this point. So as long as they show themselves to be like true Super Bowl contenders, I think they'll have a successful season. Anything less than that, I feel like, is a failure, because I'm with you on the Lamar 5th year thing, because now you ran out of time, basically. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
Clock's ticking. Gotta get there.
Yeah, for sure. So any other questions that you guys had for the Ravens that you wanted to ask the group? Or
I did know, with their new defensive coordinator, McDonald, I wanted to see how that looked, just because Martindale was known for like all out blitzing a lot. So I'm curious to see, what kind of defense he rolls out there with all that secondary back. And they look like a real Ravens defense again that flies around and plays good D. And Travis's buddy Queen gets better even more. And then Odafe Owe off the edge. Like, they got some players. It's just what's that scheme going to look like with the new coordinator this year? It could be really good if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a nice vintage Ravens type defense. I'm actually feeling the same way a little bit about the Steelers. I think we might get a little bit of their defense being pretty good as well, but we'll talk about that when we get to them. Let's do our predictions here. I found the website I found online. It mentioned the website I found online. That's kind of stupid because where else would I find the website? Anyway,
You didn't call in to find it?
Yeah. What a dumb phrase. Okay. Prediction over under. I found 9.5 wins, 9.5 wins. Let's see, Ryan, do you have the over under on 9.5?
I'm going to call the website and say I'm going to go over somewhere in the 10 or 11 win range.
Yeah. How about you, Travis?
11-6.
Okay. Yeah. I have the over as well, and I went 10-7. But 10-11 sounds about right. Yeah.
Can I do one more over on that?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to go over Justin Tucker is going to break his record and have a 67-yard field goal this year.
Oh,
that
man.
would be awesome. the highest paid kicker in the NFL history, the $6 million a year.
He better.
Yeah, he better.
Once that other kicker got that contract, Boswell or whoever it was, he needed to get one because it's like he can't be the non-top kicker in pay, and I have to talk about a kicker if I'm on the podcast.
Oh, watch out. McPherson's coming for him, though. All right.
That's a great question. How does an agent for a kicker go in and be like, yeah, we want Justin Tucker money? Like, how do you do that? Like with a straight face, you just can't. Like if I'm a team, I'd be like, unless if you're this good, you're not getting that money. Like you got to be like scoring this much points this year, kicking 66-yard field goals. This is what we want to see. Clutch game winners. McPherson might be able to at some point, but I don't know how a kicker's agent can get more than Justin Tucker. I just don't.
Tucker was 6 for 6 on plus 50 last year, just if you're wondering. If he kicks it over 50, it's automatic.
Ryan, any punter stats? Usually
Oh, they got a new punter. They do. He was a draft pick. So we'll see how that goes.
There we go.
They had the same punter for 17 years, and now they got a new one. So we'll see.
And most importantly, the Ravens are still undefeated in the preseason for like how many games? Like last 10 years? What has it been? It's been a ridiculous record.
22 in a row, yeah.
22 in a row. Okay, perfect. Okay, you guys ready to move on to the Cleveland Browns? Thanks so much for watching this clip of NuttieBuddie Sports. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, click on one of the links down below. And if you want to give us your thoughts on any team in any division, let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys soon.